Hello friends, I am Aryan Gurud. In this video lecture we are going to see what is gridiron pattern, what are the advantages, what is the different patterns used in the town planning. This is module number 3. A city is a group of people and number of permanent structures within a limited geographical area, so organized as to facilitate the interchange of goods and services among its residents and with the outside world. The settlement grew into villages transformed into cities. Cities created when large number of people live together in a specific geographic location, leading to the creation of urban areas. Cities exist for many reasons, and the diversity of urban forms depend upon the complex function that cities perform. So in this slide we are going to see the factors affecting the city planning or city form. First is geography, second is impact of natural environment, then social, political and economic forces, trade practices and period of development. So in this slide we are going to see what are the traffic problems and what are the disadvantages of traffic. First is increase in congestion leads to an increase in transport cost and decrease in economic productivity. Second is congestion leads to a distorted land use pattern in the long run, causing more serious transport problem in the future. Similarly, transport problems discourage decentralization and redistribution of economic activities and population. Also, increase in traffic demand caused by the influx of migrants hinders the smooth implementation of urban transport development plan. Insufficient space available within the built-up areas to allow large-scale transport improvement program, thus hindering future growth. Then, the lack of proper intermodal coordination leads to increase in transport cost as well as reduction in overall urban productivity, and next is pollution. So in this slide we are going to see what are the remedies of traffic problem. The remedies are weightages to the road should be given, such as one way, special provision for car parking is to be made, terminal bus stops are to be provided, mandatory provision for parking places at public should be considered, awareness/education program has to be incorporated, where to enforce rules and regulation in order to solve the traffic problem. Speed restrictions, signal and symbols are to be made available for the users, provision of junctions, and where to apply the principle of segregation. Then the principle of segregation of traffic, in which intermingling of traffic types. So we have to see slow traffic or fast traffic, whether it is highway or local. Then segregation or separation, there are two types. One is place segregation and another is time segregation. In the place segregation, separating traffic by height, that is breach, and secondly separation on same level by physical barriers. Second type of segregation is time segregation. So time segregation can be achieved by imposing one ways in a particular times. Also, night entry for heavy vehicles are to be restricted. Next is housing layout, public road network. Layout to benefit the variety such as economy, convenience for neighborhood unit may be in the form of gridiron pattern or by providing cul-de-sac and shoestring development, and therefore the road layouts are in the form of artificial road, bypass road, ring roads, concentric and radial system type. Then we are going to see what is the grid iron or rectangular pattern. So generally in this type the roads are provided at right angles. It has got a fixed layout and suitable for flat terrain. Gridiron network of roads has following advantages. We can maintain the good speed In gridiron pattern, rectangular houses are built. In the gridiron pattern, no land wastage and maximum use of space is done. Whereas the disadvantages of gridiron pattern are no shortcuts are provided, costly in uneven terrain, accidents are possible, and it is monotonous. The gridiron city, it is composed of streets crossing at right angles to create many regular city blocks. This form is typical of cities built after the industrialization revolution, because only then did the cities place such importance on economic activity. The city grid iron plan facilitates the movement of people and product throughout the city. We will see the advantages of gridiron city: high accessibility, minimum disruption of flow, expansion flexibility, and excellent psychological orientation, adapting to level on moderately rolling terrain. Whereas the disadvantages of gridiron city are requires flow hierarchy, requires limited in adaptability to the terrain, and potential monotonous. In the grid plan or gridiron plan is a type of city plan in which streets run at right angles to each other, forming a grid. The infrastructure cost for regular grid pattern is generally higher than for pattern with discontinuous streets. Cities like Chandigarh, New York City, Tokyo, Barcelona, and Back Bay, Boston are the example of gridiron plan. So gridiron system is suitable for cities with rectangular layout, where the water mains and branches are laid in rectangles. Following are the advantages of gridiron system. Water is kept in good circulation due to the absence of dead roads. In the cases of breakdown in some section, water is available from some other direction. Whereas the disadvantages of gridiron system is exact circulation of size of pipe is not possible due to provision of holes on all branches, which is shown in the figure, showing main pipe, branch, sub-mains, cut-off holes. This is a typical layout of gridiron system in which the gridiron system is shown representing main pipe, branch pipe, sub-main, and cut-off holes. Generally, it is suitable for cities with rectangular layout where the water mains and branches are laid in rectangles. So, in a case study of Islamabad and Rawalpindi, the city is divided into 8 basic zones, namely administrative zone, diplomatic enclave zone, residential area, educational sectors, industrial sectors, commercial areas, rural areas, and green areas. The city was conceived into grid pattern developed into 2 km by 2 km sectors segregated by the hierarchy of wide principal roads of 60 feet comprising Islamabad and Rawalpindi area. The sectors were used for district land uses such as residential, educational, commercial, and administrative purpose. Housing is provided in gridiron pattern sectors on disciplined hierarchy of communities according to their income group. In the square grid of sectors, 4 communities clustered around an enlarged shopping centers. To slow down traffic, shopping activities were organized in the center of a large square settlement. This slide represents the case study of Chandigarh. The primary module of city design is a sector, a neighborhood unit of size 800 meter by 1200 meter. It is self-sufficient unit having shops, schools, health centers, and places of recreation. The population of sector varies between 3,000 to 20,000 depending upon size of plot and topography of the area. The shopping street of each sector is linked to the adjoining sectors, thus forming one long continuous ribbon. The central green of each sector also stretches to the green of next sector. So in this slide we are going to see Lee Corbusier planning strategy for the Chandigarh city. While planning, he has focused on urban design, architectural, aesthetic, preservation of natural environment, conservation of building and open spaces, and hierarchical road network. He divided the human function into circulation, living, working, care, and spirit with strict zoning. Also, city planning was against the traditional Indian cities. They replaced the native Indian town planning into super blocks. The housing layout of cul-de-sac layout considers or has dead ends suitable for small country. It has traffic control. In case of cul-de-sac, length should not be more than 80 to 100 meter. It is privately maintained. Peace, free from noise, dust are the peculiar characteristics with minimum accident and dead end road network. In this slide we are going to see another type of layout, that is shoestring development. In this, each group is placed on the left or right side of local road facing the park, thus forming the shape of S. Advantage of shoestring development is it provides calm and quiet atmosphere. It is absolutely free from noise, dust, bustle of city. It is free from traffic accidents, and also it provides better social contact. In case of shoestring development, the houses are arranged around a local road encircling a park in the center. It is an improved variety of cul-de-sac. The houses are arranged in groups in the shape of shoe around a local road encircling a park in the center. The main road forms string, hence the name shoestring development is given. This slide shows housing layout, that is shoestring development, where the narrow and wide roads are shown. It is an improved variety of cul-de-sac, and shoe, that is encircle, is having a shape of S. No direct access to main road is given. Advantages of cul-de-sacs are privately maintained, peace, free from noise, minimum accidents, and shoestring road network. So in this slide we are going to see what is the RTL road. It is a road which is going to link the main road which is passing through the city, where the city limits has capacity of transport. The main purpose of RTL road is to evacuate the transport, reduce the time lag, and where the width is not less than 30 meters. Then in this slide we are going to see the two type of road layouts, that is bypass road and ring road. So in the figure you will observe that there is a city at the center and one road which is straight, which is going into the city, and another road which is a bypass road. The main object of providing this particular bypass road is to divert the traffic of city. Similarly, the ring road. So at the center there is a hub, and to the periphery of the town, the outer ring roads are provided, and again the approach roads are joined to the ring road to provide the transportation facility. So in this slide we are going to see circular and radial system, that is spider web system, which is shown in the figure. Following are the advantages of this particular system: direct access to heart, traffic distribution, support natural or economic growth of town. The following are the disadvantages: typical shape of plot, not economical for construction of house. So in this slide we are going to see what is radiocentric city and what are the characteristics. So geographic possibilities of spreading in all direction is called the radiocentric city. Radiocentric city radiate outward from a common center. Inner outer ring roads linked by radiating roads. Core has business area. The industrial area interpass with the residential. Periphery has green belt. Example: Washington DC is a radiocentric city having pre-industrial allocation. Following are the advantages of radiocentric city: a direct line of travel for centrally directed flows. Then economic of single centralized terminal or origin point. And the disadvantages are central congestion is possible, local flow problem, and difficult building sites are present. So in a case study of Islamabad and Rawalpindi, the city is divided into 8 basic zones, namely administrative zone, diplomatic enclave zone, residential area, educational sectors, industrial sectors, commercial areas, rural areas, and green areas. The city was conceived into grid pattern developed into 2 km by 2 km sectors segregated by the hierarchy of wide principal roads of 60 feet comprising Islamabad and Rawalpindi area. The sectors were used for district land uses such as residential, educational, commercial and administrative purpose. Housing is provided in gridiron pattern sectors on disciplined hierarchy of communities. So in this slide we are going to see what are the traffic problems and what are the disadvantages of traffic. First is increase in congestion leads to an increase in transport cost and decrease in economic productivity. Second is congestion leads to a distorted land use pattern in the long run, causing more serious transport problem in the future. Similarly, transport problems discourage decentralization and redistribution of economic activities and population. Also, increase in traffic demand caused by the influx of migrants hinders the smooth implementation of urban transport development plan. This slide shows the layout of Navi Mumbai, that is linear city. The growth of Mumbai city is constrained by sea at south, east and west. As a result of total land available for development of Mumbai is limited. The cost of real estate and housing in Navi Mumbai is much less than cost in Mumbai and suburban areas. So many government and corporate offices have been shifted from Mumbai to Navi Mumbai. The Taloja and Thane Belapur industrial belt of Navi Mumbai offer job opportunities of every conceivable kind, from engineers to mechanics to clerks to peons. As a result, a large population of service class and middle class population shifted to New Mumbai. So according to urbanist Hans Blumenfeld, cities can grow in any of 3 ways. One is outward, that is expanding horizontally, upward, expanding vertically, and towards greater density, that is expanding interstitially. As long as intra-city traffic moved only by foot or hook, possibilities of horizontal and vertical expansion were strictly limited. Growth was mainly interstitial, filling up every square yard of vacant land left between buildings. With the advent of elevators, the steel frame, the vertical growth of skyscrapers began. Suburbs spread out horizontally along steel car and bus lines and around suburban railway stations surrounded by wide open spaces. The gridiron city. It is composed of streets crossing at right angles to create many regular city blocks. This form is typical of cities built after the industrialization revolution, because only then did the cities place such importance on economic activity. A city grid iron plan facilitates the movement of people and product throughout the city. We will see the advantages of gridiron city: high accessibility, minimum disruption of flow, expansion flexibility, and excellent psychological orientation, adapting to level on moderately rolling terrain. Whereas the disadvantages of gridiron city are requires flow hierarchy, requires limited in adaptability to the terrain, and potential monotonous. This is a typical model of concentric zone where at the center there is a central business district. Surrounding to that there is zone of transition, surrounded by zone of independent workers' homes, surrounded by zone of better residences, and surrounded by commuters zone, which is shown in the model. This slide shows the layout of Navi Mumbai, that is linear city. In this slide we have seen the gridiron pattern and shoestring pattern. Thank you for your kind attention.